Hello students, I hope you are doing great. Welcome to the live streaming of the daily news analysis of 26th May 2022, and I am your educator Prithviraj Singh. Let us begin with the session. Now a very important news article about US-Taiwan relations. Now we know that we have discussed about the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, the meeting of the Quad or the four members, the four countries, Japan, Australia, India and America. They all met at Tokyo, Japan recently, and the four leaders started a new initiative called as Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF. Now IPEF is being seen as a counter to RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, of which China is the leader. Well, IPEF is, again, as I said, that its objective is to build alternate supply chains which excludes China, right? So that the countries do not over depend on China. Now, after the launch of IPEF or Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, there were talks about the US-Taiwan relations. We all know that Taiwan is being considered, China considers Taiwan as its own territory. Well, Taiwanese people are, they are fighting for sovereignty, they are fighting for freedom. Now, America has changed its foreign policy with regard to Taiwan. So let us understand the US-Taiwan relations. Now, before I actually give you the details, share the details of US-Taiwan relations, we must understand that Taiwan was China's part, and China still considers Taiwan as its own part. Well, China was being ruled by Qing dynasty. From 1644 to 1912. Now in 1912, ruler Puyi was the last ruler. Puyi was the last emperor. He was the last emperor of China. Then Qing dynasty, and then later he was being abdicated. He was being abdicated in the year 1912 after the rise of the people of China. They abdicated Puyi, who was the last emperor of China, and then the Qing dynasty came to an end. Now the Qing dynasty was then being replaced by something called as Republic of China. Republic of China, in short also called as ROC, was there from 1912 till 1949. Right. So this is the timeline. Qing dynasty, the last ruler was Puyi, and then Puyi was abdicated in the year 1912 with the rise of China, and it led to the formation of Republic of China from 1912 till 1949. Now, Republic of China was being set up by a very famous leader named Sun Yat-sen. He is maybe regarded as founding father of Republic of China. Sun Yat-sen, very important. Sun Yat-sen may be regarded as the founding father of Republic of China. I hope it is clear till this. So we have understood about the Qing dynasty and how the Republic of China came into existence from 1912 till 1949. Now during this time, between 1937 till 1945, China was also involved in the second Sino-Japanese war. China was involved into the war with Japan from 1937 till 1945. Now coming to the next fact, the Chinese Civil War. Now the Chinese Civil War started in the year 1937 and went up till the end of the Second World War, that is in 1945. Sorry, this is a wrong statement, I'll just clarify it. It was from the year 1945, that means after the end of the Second World War, till 1949. Now in Chinese Civil War, यहाँ पे चाइना के अंदर उस समय रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना में पार्टी वाज रूलिंग एंड इट वाज कॉल्ड एज कुओमिंतांग गवर्नमेंट. कुओमिंतांग गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है. सो during this time, the Republic of China, because you can always call it Republic of China, it was being ruled by Kuomintang government. Now the civil war forced this government to move to a place called as Taiwan. So the Chinese Civil War forced the Kuomintang government, the ruling Kuomintang government, from the mainland China to Taiwan, right? So from mainland, it shifted its base to Taiwan, and in Taiwan it actually established the Republic of China. Correct. So the same Kuomintang government later shifted to Taiwan, and in Taiwan it shifted Republic of China, right? So from 1949 onwards, Taiwan was called as Republic. Taiwan started to be called as Republic of China, and in the mainland China, People's Republic of China was formed. People's Republic of China. With the rise of People's Republic of China was formed. Correct. So People's Republic of China. So now we are clear with the fact that Republic of China, which was earlier the name of the mainland China, was being replaced by People's Republic of China at the end of, or at the culmination of, the Chinese Civil War, which started in the year 1945 and went up till 1949. This Chinese Civil War led to the rise of the voice of the people, or power of the people, leading to the formation of People's Republic of China, and the ruling Kuomintang government was being shifted to Taiwan, was being limited to Taiwan, and in Taiwan it formed the Republic of China. And we know that earlier the mainland China was called as Republic of China, but from 1949 onwards Taiwan was started to be called as Republic of China, and the mainland China led to the formation of People's Republic of China. So in this sense, we have understood the Qing dynasty and how the last king Pui was being abdicated in the year 1912, and this led to the formation of Republic of China in the mainland China. Correct. And it was being founded by Sun Yat-sen. The second fact that we understood is the Chinese Civil War from 1945 till 1949, and this actually led to the the uproot of the Kuomintang government from the mainland China, and it was shifted to, it got limited to Taiwan, which from now onwards was called as Republic of China. And in the mainland China, a new government setup was formed called as People's Republic of China. Okay. And in the year 1949, the same year, in September 1949, first legislature was formed, and the legislature of China is called as National People's Congress, NPC. Correct. So the parliament or the legislature of China is called as NPC, National People's Congress, and the mainland China is called as PRC or People's Republic of China. Similarly, the army is called as PLA, People's Liberation Army. Are you getting my point? So PRC stands for People's Republic of China. It is the technical name of China, and its legislature is called as NPC or National People's Congress. Right. Now this National People's Congress formed the first constitution project of PRC, and this was in the year 1954. Right. So the first constitution of the newly formed People's Republic of China was in the year 1954, then 1975, then 1978, and the present constitution is 1982 constitution. Very, very important, students. They may ask you in the examination because of the news related to Taiwan. So the present constitution of China, present constitution of the People's Republic of China is that of 1982, and it came into being in December 1982. Right. So December 1982 is the present constitution of the People's Republic of China. However, the first constitution of PRC was in the year 1954. Right. So in all there were how many constitutions? 4 constitutions, right? And the 4th constitution, which is the 1982 constitution, is the present constitution of the People's Republic of China, right? So these are some important details which I wanted to share with you. Now since then PRC considers, since the formation of PRC in the year 1949, it considers Taiwan as its own territory, as a renegade province, as something called as renegade province. Renegade province means residue province. That means it was a part of one China, was a part of the one Chinese dream, and therefore it considers it is a renegade province, and it believes that in the future time they are awaiting a reunification, and with a peaceful process it would sometime in future would come back to the People's Republic of China, right, if possible. So they are working for the reunification of Taiwan with the mainland China, and in the coming time in the future, and they are seeking for a peaceful reunification, right? So this is the status of Taiwan. I hope it is clear. We have understood the first constitution of the year 1954. The present constitution is that of 1982. We have understood the name of the legislature is of the mainland China is NPC, National People's Congress, and how today, after the formation of PRC in the year 1949, it started considering Taiwan as a renegade province. That means a residual province. It considers Taiwan as its own part, and it is awaiting its reunification into the mainland China with a peaceful process if possible, right? So this is a brief background about Taiwan and its status. I hope it is clear. Now we have laid the foundation stone to understand the US-Taiwan relations. Let us come to the topic of discussion. Understanding the nature of US-Taiwan relations. So now US policy over Taiwan was earlier ambiguous. It was unclear, but now it is seeming that it may, because the American president Joe Biden has clearly hinted, it has been the 3rd time he has said that even if a military intervention is required, we would not hesitate to do so, to actually to liberate Taiwan, or to possibly retaliate against any Chinese aggression in Taiwan. So we have understood about the Chinese Civil War, as you can see on the screen from today's Hindu article, and how the the People's Republic of China was formed in the year 1949 by CPC. CPC is Communist Party of China. So guys, China is a single party state. It's a one party country. There is no other party, right? And even the constitution mandates that it would be always a single party state. It is clearly mentioned in their constitution. Now, when the Cold War started after the end of Second World War in the year 1945, the PRC, the People's Republic of China, started allying itself, to the Soviet, and the Republic of China, that is the Taiwan, started allying itself to America. That means Taiwan started shifting towards or tilting towards Western liberal policies or the capitalist model, whereas China was more close to the Soviet model, that is the communist model, right? So China or PRC was close to was tilted towards the communist model of development. That means it was close to the Soviet, whereas Taiwan started tilting towards West. That means it was pro-West, it was pro-capitalist. Now after in 1970s, now we are at the mid of the Cold War, the US also started coming close to China, something called as US-China rapprochement, right? And it was demonstrated by the historic visit of the then American President Richard Nixon to China in the year 1972. And PRC displaced the ROC, that is Taiwan, as the official representative of the Chinese nation at the United Nations, right? So PRC was displaced the Republic of China as the official representative of the Chinese nation at United Nations, and they came up with the Nixon's visit in the year 1972 concluded in one China principle. That means America accepted the Chinese claim over Taiwan, and in this sense Taiwan also transitioned from a single party state to a multi-party democracy. Moving ahead, now there has been a mutual understanding on Taiwan question, and this can be outlined in 3 documents. The first document, as you can see on the screen, is Shanghai Communique 1972, then Normalization Communique 1979, and the 1982 Communique, right? So there have been 3 documents which actually outlines the US-Taiwan relation. Well, Taiwan is very important, guys, strategically for China. China would never want to lose Taiwan. See the map. Now the location of Taiwan is strategically very, very important for China. You can see that it is located very close to Japan, and to the south it has South China Sea. So this ridge of island is called as first island chain, right? So it is located on the first island chain. To the north of Taiwan is Japan and South Korea. South Korea and Japan are again very industrial nations. To the south there is South China Sea, Philippines and others, right? So therefore Taiwan is very, very strategically important for China, and that is the reason why China would never lose its claim over Taiwan. But sadly, Taiwan as a province of China is yet not recognized by the United Nations. Now coming to our article, the Shanghai Communique, the Normalization Communique and the 1982 Communique, these 3 documents outline the relation between America and Taiwan. In the first communique, that is Shanghai Communique 1972, America agreed to the one China principle, right? The one China principle, with an understanding that it acknowledges and does not challenge that all Chinese on either side of the Taiwan Strait maintain that there is but one China. That means they accepted that Taiwan is a part of China. Now coming to the second communique, that is 1979. Now the second communique was a bit of a mixed one, wherein America established unofficial relations with Taiwan, because that post 1970s Taiwan also started tilting towards West, or it started becoming pro-American. So America established unofficial relations with Taiwan. Coming to the 1982 communique, America assuaged Chinese concerns of the possibility for continued arms supply to Taiwan by the US provisioned Taiwan Relations Act. Now Taiwan Relations Act is very important. It came in the year 1979. It actually talks about the sharing of the arms by the Americans to Taiwan, right? That means the defense supply to Taiwan. Now in this way, post 1979, America started developing a way to balance the recognition of PRC, right? So America started to find a way to balance between PRC and Taiwan ROC. Meanwhile, Taiwanese democracy also flourished. It became highly industrialized country. Its pro-independence stance on sovereignty was also strengthened, and the Democratic People's Party became the most powerful political force in Taiwan. And today also you have the same government, right? And it's being led by the president Tsai Ing-wen. Now Tsai Ing-wen is a female president of Taiwan, and she talks about pro-independence and the sovereignty of Taiwan, and this has made China wary of Tsai Ing-wen. Now there has been, although current downturn in the cross-strait relations because of the reason that America has talked about the liberation of Taiwan, declaring its sovereignty, its independence. America has also shifted its focus over Indo-Pacific theater to counter China, right? And after the brutal Russian invasion of Ukraine, there are talks that China may also do the same to Taiwan, right? So therefore America has become more vigilant and has said, the American President Joe Biden has clearly said that we may also resort to military intervention if China pushes its aggressive policies over Taiwan. So in this sense, earlier from the three communique, it was looking as if America has a very ambiguous or confusing policy, right? But this strategic ambiguity today seems to be having strategic clarity, and the TRA, or the Taiwanese Taiwan Relations Act, had come up in the wake of US recognition of PRC and the resultant termination of the 1954 US-Taiwan Mutual Defense Treaty. Now the capacity of the US to resist any resort to force or other forms of coercion is there, and there is no clear guarantee here that the US will militarily involve in a situation where China attempts to invade Taiwan short of supplying the defensive weapons. So President Biden has said it, it's been third time when President Biden, last was in September, then October last year, and then today again, a few days back, he has again warned that he would use the military intervention if China does not stop its aggressive policies over Taiwan. So strong message has gone down, and the policy of strategic ambiguity has possibly has lost its relevance to strategic clarity. And now we have to see that how China would retaliate, and whether they have their own game plan for Indo-Pacific. Although there has been a great distraction at the Eurasian Atlantic theater, and we'll see how the things would work. So in the photo you can see all the American officers at the presidential residence of the Taiwanese president Tsai Ing-wen, right? So this is the geographical location, and the president of the Republic of, it's not China, it's the Republic of China. Again, technically it is called as Taiwan. So the president of the Republic of China or Taiwan is Tsai Ing-wen on the screen. She is the current president of Taiwan. Now we know, guys, that, and just a few hours back when I was actually coming here, I just came across the news that China has announced a military drills around Taiwan despite Biden's warning. So China is not stopping, and it has upped the ante by announcing the military drills around Taiwan. China continues to regard Taiwan as its own province even after decades of separate governance. Even the Chinese President Xi Jinping threatened to take the island if needed. That means Xi Jinping has threatened to take the island if required. Well, Taiwan is claimed by the PRC, which refuses diplomatic relations with countries that recognize the ROC. That means China has clearly said that if any country would establish diplomatic relations with Taiwan, then it would refuse to have the diplomatic relations with that country, and China would not cooperate with that country. Taiwan maintains official diplomatic relations with 13 out of 193 UN member states and even the Holy See, though many others maintain unofficial diplomatic ties through representative offices. Right. So this is all about this article, an important one. I hope it is clear. Moving to the next news article on the screen. The monkeypox virus, its origins and outbreaks. Well, recently there have been cases, and in fact 220 confirmed cases across 19 countries. Although the cases are less, but then they are spread majorly in UK, Spain and Portugal. Till now, no death has been reported. That means it is not fatal, plus it is not contagious as coronavirus. Because coronavirus, as I said, COVID-19 is highly contagious, highly infectious, plus it has high fatality rate. Why? Because COVID-19 virus is a RNA based virus which has very high replication and mutations, whereas the monkeypox virus is DNA based virus which doesn't mutate much, plus it is not much contagious. So that is the first difference. Now no death has been reported till date, and the initial cases were largely but not exclusively among young individuals who identify themselves as man who have sex with man, that is MSM, right? So in this sense it also spreads through the sexual activity. It comes from the pox virus family of viruses which were first identified in monkeys way back in the year 1958. Well, the first human case was described in the year 1970 from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the first case of monkeypox virus was in Africa, and it's being said that it transmitted from animal to human, plus at the same time it also have human to human transmission. So this is something which you have to keep in mind, that it has both animal to human plus human to human transmission. So this is the first important fact about monkeypox virus. Now, since the transmission occurs only with close contact, that is the reason why the outbreaks have been in many cases self-limiting, right? So that means उसका जो transmission है वो केवल close contact से ही होता है, इस वजह से उसका जो impact है वो बहुत limited है. At the same time, the incubation period ranges from 5 to 21 days. So the incubation period is also very less, and is often mild or self-limiting. Asymptomatic cases could transmit the disease unknowingly, right? So the mild symptoms are there. Well, the monkeys are possibly only incidental hosts. The reservoir is still yet not known. It is believed that the rodents and non-human primates could be the potential reservoirs, right? So all the rodents, including rats, plus the non-human primates, that means from the primate family, they could be the potential reservoirs. Well, as I said, that monkeypox virus is a DNA virus, and that is the reason why it is not very highly contagious as coronavirus is. So while being a DNA virus, the rate of mutations in the monkeypox virus is significantly lower. As I just said, that the mutations are less. It is normally 1 to 2 mutations per year, compared to the RNA virus like SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. So we must understand that COVID-19 is a RNA virus, whereas monkeypox virus is a DNA virus. Now it has two distinct clades. One is the Congo Basin and the Central African clade, that is the Central African region, and the other is West African clade, right? So the western part of Africa. Well, the West African clade, which has much lesser fatality compared to the Central African one. Some of the other points which has to be kept in mind, that even the vaccine which was used for smallpox, because India was set example to eradicate smallpox, and today all the vaccination coverage that India has successfully operationalized for eradication of the smallpox has led to the eradication of smallpox across the world. And these vaccines did provide protection, while the vaccine has been discontinued in the year 1980 with the eradication of the smallpox. But the emergency stockpiles of the smallpox vaccine are maintained by many countries. Well, the younger individuals who didn't got the smallpox vaccine till date, I mean, they are unlikely, they are potentially susceptible to monkeypox virus, क्योंकि उनको smallpox vaccine अभी तक नहीं लगी है. So they are more susceptible to the monkeypox virus, which could partly explain its emergence in the younger individuals, right? So it is more prevalent in the younger individuals because of the reason that the young children are not inoculated by smallpox vaccines. So that is the reason why they become more potentially susceptible to the monkeypox virus. So this is all about this article. Now even WHO is asking for help from India to supply smallpox vaccines to cure the cases for monkeypox virus. So we are clear with this. Some important takeaways: animal to human, human to human transmission, and it's a DNA virus, no deaths reported till date, so on and so forth. Moving to the next news article, very important, and I expect a question on this. Well, Captain Abhilasha Barak has become the first woman to join Army Aviation Corps as combat aviator. So Army also have their own aviation corps, correct? And in that Army Aviation Corps, Captain Abhilasha Barak has become the first women officer. So very important development, the first women to join the Army Aviation Corps as combat aviator. Now the Combat Army Aviation Training School is there in Nashik, and she has got training at the Combat Army Aviation Training School at Nashik. And as you can see on the screen, how Colonel is actually inducting her into the services. So she was being commissioned into the Army Air Defense Corps in September 2018, and the Army Aviation Corps is the youngest corps of the Army, which was formed on November 1986. Now today it has expanded, Army Aviation Corps has expanded to include the modern equipments like Cheetah, Advanced Light Helicopter Dhruv, weaponized Rudra, so on and so forth. Now in August 2021, Army Aviation got control of the UAV और unmanned aerial vehicles, वो भी इनके कंट्रोल में आ गए आर्मी एविएशन कॉर्प्स के, which were earlier with the artillery, bringing all the aviation assets under one roof. तो जितने भी एविएशन एसेट्स है वो भले ही एयरक्राफ्ट्स हो, फाइटर जेट्स हो या यूएवी हो, अनमैन्ड एरियल व्हीकल्स हो, वो सारे के सारे अब आर्मी एविएशन कॉर्प्स के अंदर आ चुके हैं। एंड आर्मी एविएशन कॉर्प्स की ट्रेनिंग जो होती है कॉम्बैट आर्मी एविएशन ट्रेनिंग स्कूल नासिक के अंदर होती है। एंड इन दिस सेंस जब वो लद्दाख का स्टैंड ऑफ हुआ था 2020 के अंदर, गलवान क्लैशेस, उसके बाद तो देयर हैज़ बीन अ क्वांटम जंप इन द एम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑफ द हेलीकॉप्टर्स along the northern borders. So very important students, Captain Abhilasha Barak has become the first women to join Army Aviation Corps, and I strongly expect this question in the exam. Moving to the next news article on the screen. Well, the International Labour Organization ILO has come up with a report about the state of workers across in the world. Now they are saying that all the countries, especially India, should frame a national policy to promote LGBTIQ workers. Now LGBTQIQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex and queer persons. Right, they are being harassed, there is a stigma being attached to them, they are being persecuted, they are being discriminated at the workplace. So therefore ILO is saying to have the national policies or the policy framework to to protect the rights of LGBTIQ persons at the workplace. Now in this sense, this will allow the identification of concrete steps for improving the legal and policy environment as they face harassment and violence, and all the barriers which are being faced by the LGBTIQ persons when entering the labor market has to be removed, and by ending sexual discrimination at workplaces. We all know about the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. Today it is definitely Act, and it came up after the Vishakha guidelines, because the ILO also asked the trade unions to help LGBTIQ workers to organize and exercise their right to association. Well guys, they are talking about, ILO is saying about the fundamental right, which is Article 19 Clause 1, in which we know that there are 6 fundamental rights: A, B, C, D, E and G. A is speech and expression, freedom of speech and expression. A is freedom to assemble peacefully without arms. C is freedom to form association, trade unions and cooperative societies. D is freedom of movement. E is freedom to reside and settle in any part of the country, and G is freedom of profession, organization, trade and business. So it is Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause C which talks about right to form association. I am writing it here again. Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause C talks about right to form associations. So ILO, or International Labour Organization, in its report is saying that the trade unions must help the LGBTIQ workers to organize and exercise the right to form associations under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause C, and in this way they would arrive at some collective bargaining agreements. So an important article about LGBTIQ rights. Moving to the next article on the screen. Supreme Court has recognized the sex work as a profession, right? So that means the sex workers their work, their profession is being considered as a profession and not a crime. It's saying that no criminal action can be taken against adult consenting sex workers. In this sense, it has recognized the sex work as a profession whose practitioners are entitled to dignity and equal protection under law. It talks about the right to a dignified life under Article 21. It says that, and it has done so under its extraordinary powers of, I'm talking about the Supreme Court, the special powers invoked under Article 142 of the Constitution, which gives Supreme Court to pass any decision or judgment, and that would be applicable across the country. So it has used Article 142, the special powers, to recognize the sex workers, as a profession. Well, it has also said that the sex workers should not be arrested or penalized or harassed or victimized. Are you getting? So they must not be harassed, penalized, victimized, and and arrested whenever there is a raid on any brothel. Right. So if there is a raid on any brothel, the sex workers must not be arrested, penalized, harassed, and victimized. Since voluntary sex work is not illegal, it's clearly being said by the Supreme Court of India that voluntary sex work is not illegal, and only running the brothel is unlawful, right? So if you're only running the brothel is unlawful, but voluntary sex work is not illegal per se. A child of a sex worker should not be separated from the mother. So this is also something which was being declared in this decision. The basic protection of human decency and dignity extends to sex workers and their children, right? If, let's say, if a minor is being found living in a brothel, minor means who is less than 18 years, if a minor is being found living in a brothel with sex workers, then it should not be presumed that the child was being trafficked, right? ऐसा नहीं presume करना चाहिए कि child is being trafficked because she's minor and she's living in the brothel. So it must not be presumed that the child was trafficked, and the minor should not be forcibly separated. In case the sex worker claims that he or she is his son or daughter, then the DNA tests can be done to determine if the claim is correct, and if so, the minor should not be forcibly separated. Are you getting my point? The sex workers who are victims of sexual assault should be provided every facility, including immediate medico-legal care. So they must be given immediate medico-legal care, and the media should take utmost care not to reveal the identities of sex workers, right? So their dignity is being preserved, and it is being preserved under Article 21 of the Constitution. Media should take utmost care not to reveal the identity of the sex workers during arrest, raid, and rescue operations. So in this way, the sex work is being declared as a profession, and the practitioners, the sex workers, are entitled to dignity and equal protection under law under Article 19 and Article 21 and Article 14. Well, the offence of voyeurism under Section 354 IPC should be enforced if media publishes the pictures of sex workers with their clients. So if media in case publishes the pictures of sex workers with their clients, then Section 354 IPC would be applicable to that agency or that person, right? And it would be offence of voyeurism, wherein you are exposing a woman in her private act without her knowledge, right? So that is called as voyeurism. So the media would be booked under Section 354 IPC if in case they publish the pictures of sex workers with their clients. So in this sense, it has actually identified and the identity of the sex workers. Moving to the next news article on the screen, it talks about the abortion rights in India. Well, this issue has surfaced the Indian news media because of the famous Roe versus Wade judgment, whose report was being leaked from the United States Supreme Court, the SCOTUS. Well, Roe versus Wade was a famous case of American Supreme Court in the year 1973, and it declared that abortion is a constitutional right. It's a legal right. So Roe versus Wade declared abortion as a constitutional right. But recently there have been talks, in the past few years about revisiting the Roe versus Wade judgment. People in America are protesting, Roe versus Wade, go, go, go. That means they are not happy with Roe versus Wade, and possibly the abortion right is being misused in America, and many conservative politicians in America are supporting its removal, from being a constitutional right. So the messages are, has also been come down to India, and India must also shift the discourse on abortion rights. So let us understand this article in this background of Roe versus Wade. So very important. So there have been maternal deaths in India, as we must understand, because of the unsafe abortions. At the same time, we also have legalized abortion if in case it is a medical abortion. That means something called as Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, MTP Act 1971. इस पे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है स्टूडेंट्स. MTP Act 1971. MTP Act 1971 was amended in the year 2021, and it certainly makes the medical termination of pregnancy legal in India. That means ऐसी कोई situation हो जाती है जिसके अंदर there is a threat to the life of the pregnant women, तो उस केस के अंदर अबॉर्शन करना पड़ता है डॉक्टर्स को, राइट, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन. तो इंडिया में अबॉर्शन केवल मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन या जो मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर्स जो अबॉर्शन करते हैं उन केसेस के अंदर वो ही वैलिड है, राइट, एंड दैट इज अंडर MTP एक्ट ऑफ 1971. दैट इज मेडिकल टर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी. It is Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, and then it was amended in the year 2021, just the last year, and it certainly makes the medical termination of pregnancy legal in India under specific conditions. Correct. अब इसके अलावा भी अगर if we'll see check the data, World WHO का data है उसमें it is being mentioned that 6 out of 10 of all unintended pregnancies end in an induced abortion. Around 45% of all abortions are unsafe. Abortions account for 10% of maternal deaths in India. Very important fact, and even it is something which is quite an eye-opener, that 10% of maternal deaths in India are because of abortion. 3% of all pregnancies in India result in abortion, and more than 53% of abortions in India are performed in private hospitals, private sector. More than a quarter of abortions are performed by women herself at home, and that is something which is very, very risky and not recommended. 73% of all abortions in India, as per the Lancet report of 2018, were medication abortions. And even though these may have been safe, many of these are illegal as per the MTP Act if they occur without the approval of the registered medical practitioners. So there have been risky abortions, maternal deaths, and the sex selective abortions in India could lead to 6.8 million fewer girls, because even today there are sex selective abortions. There are infanticide, female infanticides, female feticides. So the sex selective abortions in India could lead to 6.8 million fewer girls, less girls being born between 2017 to 2030. And we may have heard of someone who has aborted a female fetus because the female wanted a son, right? So it is just because the family wants a son, so therefore many abortions are taking place in our country. Even under the IPC, the induced miscarriage is a criminal offense. You must understand that under the IPC, induced miscarriage is a criminal offense, and it mentions pregnant women, thus failing to recognizes, the MTP Act fails to recognizes the transgender persons and others who do not identify as women can become pregnant. After more than 50 years of MTP Act, the women and transgender persons face major obstacle in accessing safe abortion care. So now this was the petty state we are into, that we don't have access to the safe abortions facilities. And this article surfaced in today's Hindu editorial page. They may not even be aware that abortion is legal, at least if it is medical under MTP Act 1971, or know where to obtain one safely. So there is no understanding of the issue. The mushrooming of the unregulated ultrasound clinics in India continues to facilitate the illegal practice of sex determination, resulting in unsafe abortions and female feticides. So there have been mushrooming of unregulated ultrasound clinics in India, and they continue to facilitate the illegal practice of sex determination. So it is still happening in India, and this in turn result into unsafe abortions and the female feticide. So one law alone is insufficient, and we must raise the bar on reproductive justice, good quality and respectful abortion care. And reproductive injustice anywhere is a threat to the lives of people everywhere, right? So it talks about the reproductive injustice. So this article surfaced in today's Hindu editorial page. I hope it is clear. Moving to the next news article, a very big development. Yasin Malik, a Kashmiri separatist leader, Yasin Malik has been given a life term for terror funding by Patiala House Court in New Delhi. A very important development. The separatist leader of Kashmir, Yasin Malik, has been given life imprisonment by the Patiala House Court, and it resulted into many violent acts in the valley, and people, in order to control and maintain law and order, mobile internet is being suspended in the parts of Kashmir valley. Well, he is being booked under UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and the IPC. Well, we all know that Malik was involved in terror funding, supported terror outfits, and had waged war against the country. In the 1990s, all the Kashmiri Pandit exodus, he was allegedly involved in that. Malik submitted that after the ceasefire in the year 1994, he had declared that he would follow peaceful path of Mahatma Gandhi. ये तो एक बहुत अजीब सी बात है कि इतने लोगों को मारा इन्होंने. इसके बाद now in 1994 he changed his stance and said that I would follow the peaceful path of Mahatma Gandhi. It's being alleged that he took a different path to orchestrate violence in the guise of political struggle. So in the garb of the path of non-violence, he was still doing all the violent acts intended to forcefully secede Jammu and Kashmir from the Union of India. So therefore he is being given the life term by the Patiala House Court. Yasin Malik, very, very important news article. And the NIA court, National Investigation Agency court verdict has triggered strong political reactions in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir by the Gupkar Alliance. It is the amalgamation of all the regional political parties in Jammu and Kashmir. That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. Do subscribe, press the like button, do comment. Please feel free to post any question on the comment box. Press the bell icon for the regular updates. With your educator Prithviraj Singh, signing off. Good day, goodbye.